Ladies and gentlemen, this here is the most perfect deck for any beginner out there. And if you disagree with me, then I challenge you. Fire up your Mox Field. Fire it up. Click that link button, send it down in the comments below, and let's clash like titans. Let these decks clash. And I promise you, my deck will prevail. Hello everybody, welcome to Nerd Lab. My name is Brian and today we're going to be doing a deck tech on Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Now this is a very special deck to me because I built it for a very special friend of mine. She was just now getting into Magic, and so I wanted to build her a deck that was simple enough, interesting enough, yet consistent enough, and strong enough that she'd have fun at the table with some more experienced players. And that's how I came up with the perfect deck for any beginning player out there. So without further ado, let's get into the deck tech. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, is a 4-mana commander with flying. She has an ability that says you, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. She has another ability that says pay 4 and 2 green, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So where to start with this commander? Well, let's start with how much she costs to get out. She's a 4-mana commander that is in a deck loaded with ramp. Loaded. We're talking Llanowar Elves, Rampant Growth, Arcane Signet. That means there's a good chance that you're getting her out on turn 3, and that's exactly where a beginning player wants to be. Now let's take a look at her second ability, Flying. That ain't nothing. In fact, I've heard flying is pretty good.
It's really good.
Worst case scenario, you use her last ability to pump her up when she's the only creature on the board, and you still get in for some commander damage. It's not our first choice, but hey, it's always good to have a backup. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. What about her second ability? You, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. This is huge. Now, if you can just give her a little bit of protection, Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, and of course my favorite, Guardian Augmenter, it's gonna be extremely difficult to remove any threats from your board. And when we're talking about building decks for beginning players, we want them to spend their time playing with the cards we've given them, not spending their turns rebuilding their board state. That's no fun. But let's get into her last ability because this is what we built the deck around. 4 and 2 green. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Now this prompts us to do two things. Go wide with a bunch of creatures and ramp, ramp, ramp. That's why this is an Elf Ball deck. Elf Ball? We got so many elves in this deck. We got Llanowar Elves, we got Arbor Elves, we got Elvish Archdruid, Elvish Mystic, Elvish Visionary, Elvish War Master, we got Circle of Dreams Druid. We're gonna make so much mana with this deck, but we do know what to do with it. We're gonna pump it all into our commander. We're gonna make our little 1/1s gigantic. We're gonna make them huge, and we're gonna swing in for the win. But what if they block us? Well, they're not going to block us because we got Champion of Lambhold. Not only are all of our creatures going to make her big, but Shalai is going to make her big. And that means all of our newly juiced up creatures are going to swing in with little to no resistance. Let me guess, you wanted to block us? Aw, sorry. We're really sorry. But since we're talking about elves, let's talk about two all-star cards in this deck. First, we have Elvish Promenade. You had 10 elves? Well, now you have 20. And as good as that is, it pales in comparison to the big boy of this deck. Big boy Kindred Summons. When you cast this spell for only 7 mana, which is nothing in this deck, you're going to be able to get out almost every single elf from out of your library onto the battlefield. That's a pretty good value. Imagine how good it would feel to be a brand new player and have every single elf in your deck in play by what, turn 6, turn 7? And with all your elves out, you're literally going to be generating hundreds of mana. And you get to use all that mana. None of it goes to waste because you're able to pump up your entire team using your commander. That's our go wide strategy. That's our commander. That's our ramp. But what about card draw? In a green creature deck, we have consistent card draw with Beast Whisperer. Anytime we cast a creature, we draw a card. But you know our beginning players, they're going to want big splashy plays. So we're going to reward you for both going big and going wide with Rishkar's Expertise, Shamanic Revelation, and Soul's Majesty. This is going to draw us a ton of cards. But what's that one card we want? The one card we really want? Sigarda's Summons. Our commander is going to be putting 1/1 counters on all of our creatures. Sigarda Summons is going to come in and turn all of our creatures into 4/4 flying angels. So how do we win with this deck? We bring out tons of creatures, make tons of mana, and we turn all those creatures into big, beautiful flyers and turn those bad boys sideways. Oh, and one last thing. I built this deck for $100.
That's a pretty good value.
Shalai, Voice of Plenty, the perfect beginner deck.